Hello you fine ladies and gentlemen, how are you all doing? I hope your day is going well. As you may or may not know, Battlefield 1 was recently released and it's looking pretty good so far. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play it too much recently, so I'm still settling into the game and getting used to all the new features and changes, of which there are many. I mean, this is a much different game from the last couple Battlefield games and it takes a lot of getting used to. I wasn't able to partake in the beta or play the game at all before a few days ago, so it's a very new experience to me and I'm really trying to focus right now on just getting used to Battlefield 1. So, seeing as I am quite inexperienced with Battlefield 1, I thought it would be a perfect time for me to do a tips and tricks video for the game. Now, in my defense, these aren't going to be really advanced tips, nor are they going to be specific tips like how to level up faster or deal more damage. Those videos will be for later once I actually understand how to do things in the game. But for now, we'll be covering how to start off in Battlefield 1 and go into some basic understandings of how to do alright in your first few matches, and how to start off the game well, because really, that's what I'm looking for right now, and I'm sure there are many of you who also want to hop into Battlefield knowing what the gameplay is like. So here are some tips and tricks of the week, this time focusing on how to start off well on the battlefield in Battlefield. See what I did there? First off, though the mechanics and gameplay of Battlefield 1 are quite different from past Battlefield games, as well as a few other FPS games, there are some underlying similarities of how the combat works. Firstly, let's get into map movement, as this is probably one of the most important factors in Battlefield. Knowing how to move around a map properly is really key, whether playing objective game modes or team deathmatch, as flanks and vantage points apply to both. Controlling the map, or at least knowing the map, will allow you to predict enemy movements and hopefully allow you and your team to eliminate any offensives mounted by your opponents. It's also key to move in areas of the map which have sufficient cover from enemy fire and flanks. There are of course big open spaces in almost every map, and then there are spots which are covered. Don't go into the open spaces which have absolutely no cover from fire. If you have to advance across an open area, find little bits of cover along the way that you can get to, or just find a different way around. One of the biggest reasons cover is so beneficial in Battlefield is because spotting enemies is not always very easy, and a lot of the time, and I can say this from experience, they see you first. So if you get ambushed by your opponents, but you have cover by your side, there's still a high possibility that you can still come out on top of that firefight. So learning the maps is really key to doing well in Battlefield, and there's really only a few ways to do this. You could definitely study the minimap to get a feel for the general sense of the map, but I would highly suggest just getting experience on the new maps. Study common places where enemies are popping up, as well as common flanking routes, and you'll certainly be on your way to mastering the map movement and knowledge. Let's get into tip number 2, which covers something I was having a lot of trouble with in Battlefield 1. You obviously don't have thruster packs or the ability to roll. So if you're poking out of cover and you start taking a lot of damage, you need to be able to get back behind cover really quickly with nothing helping you but technique and skill. So here's what I suggest. Movement is of course slowed when not looking in the direction that you're walking. So when you're running back into cover, don't keep your view fixed ahead. But of course, there's a lot more to it than that. As soon as you notice you're taking damage, crouch down quickly as you become a far smaller target. But do not be fooled, you move very slowly when crouched, so the crouching action is more of an initial thing to ward off any extra damage for a second or two while you turn your character towards the piece of cover that you want to hide behind. Once you are facing the cover, sprint as fast as you can or bayonet charge if you are able towards safety. Hopefully that will allow you to make it back to cover in a timely manner. On to tip number 3, stick with your teammates. Teamwork is of course a very crucial part of Battlefield, and even more so when just starting out. Even if this isn't your first Battlefield game, you may not be so great at it yet, and therefore having some teammates at your side to back you up and provide cover fire is really key. Now, the minimap is a great way of keeping track of enemies, but also teammates. so make sure you use it to your advantage. On to the fourth and final tip for today: play cautiously. If that means playing slowly as well, then so be it. I know you may watch other YouTubers play this game and they're moving around the map and pulling off shots really quickly, and naturally you may adopt that as the ideal way to play like a pro. And for the most part, that's true. Playing with calculated haste is very effective, but you really need to work your way up to that point. Players who do well with a quick style of gameplay are able to do so because of practice and experience, not by pressing sprint. You need to learn the maps, the style of gameplay, the weapon recoil, the damage numbers, and many more factors of the gameplay before you can play like a pro. So I suggest playing slowly and cautiously at first, making sure to learn the maps along the way and learning how to approach combat in the game through calculated strategy. That is very, very key. Anyways, that has been all for the second episode of Top Tips and Tricks of the Week, and stay tuned for more Battlefield 1 content as well as some other games that are on the way. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, I'm very glad. If you wish to subscribe, feel more than welcome to do so, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.